hand reaches out to touch a book with a strange symbol on it. A narrator starts saying that the answer to what connected everyone's wills has always been books. Throughout history, a lot of tyrants tried to wipe out books so people would not be knowledgeable. There is even a term for this action which is called bibliocost, which means the mass burning of books. Although people have been doing this throughout history, no one has been able to completely get rid of all the books so far. Books have been burnt, which turn into ashes and then disperse into winds, but has never been able to fully disappear. There has always been someone who kept it and saved books from the flames, or someone buried it into the ground to escape the eyes of the tyrant. After the flames are extinguished, someone digs up their vague memories and recreated these books. A merciless and hardworking tyrant who has constantly watched them and has always destroyed these books. This so-called tyrant is called time. Even today, books are fighting against time to escape from being destroyed by it. The main character just recently joined this grand, noble, and exciting battle against time to save books. His name is Ash, and he's just 8 years old. Ash runs to his village and calls for Father Folk. He runs through the dirty pathways up to the father's house. Ash slams the door open and screams out loud to him that he wants to read a book. Father Folk is slumped on the chair and onto the table but wakes up from his sleep to see Ash. He starts to call him David's brat but corrects himself to call Ash son. Father Folk asks Ash what he wants from him. Ash tells him that he just wants to read his books, which surprises Father Folk. He asks Ash that in a village such as this, what is the use of reading any book at all? Ash replies that he just wants to read something fun, and he even has fun reading books. Father Folk asks what he is talking about, but Ash gets angry, saying that he should ask that question to himself. The reason to read books is to have some enjoyment in reading it. If someone cannot spend time just enjoying reading books to your heart's content, they would not be able to survive in this cruel world. In the day before, the village chief's wife reads a story to the whole class of children in the school. That is when Ash realized something. If he can immerse himself in the world of books, his mind will be healed. This village has nothing, so he needs books in order to heal his mind. Father Folk asks Ash that even though he wants to read books, can he even read the letters? Ash does not know how to read letters, which confuses Father Folk even more, because if he cannot read letters, how can he read books? Ash explains to Father Folk that he should teach him to start reading. After all, it is the job of a priest to teach others. Ash will become the first student of Father Folk in the village ever since Father Folk has been assigned to this village from the royal capital. Father Folk tells Ash that he has no interest in teaching a brat like Ash to read at all. Ash then tells him that Father Folk can instead lend a simple book to read, but Father Folk does not want to. Books are valuable, so he is skeptical if Ash would ruin the book or even sell it to someone else. Ash reassures him he will not do those things, but books are supposed to wear out over time naturally and eventually they get damaged as well. Father Folk agrees with Ash that books will deteriorate and eventually becomes rotten as well. Ash asks how many times will the books that Father Folk holds be read before they get rotten. Rather than letting these books rot before they even get read by anyone, it would be better to have someone read them and get damaged that way. Father Folk calls Ash a smooth talker, and Ash tells him that he should lend him a simple book so Ash can read and study the letters for himself, which are not easy to learn. Ash tells Father Folk to lend him a book that has scripture passages that he uses to recite during service. Father Folk reluctantly agrees and gives Ash a copy of the manuscript that he wrote himself. It will not be an issue if it gets damaged either, as Father Folk gives Ash the manuscript. Ash thanks him for the manuscript and opens it to start reading it right there. In the middle of the book, Ash asks Father Folk how to read a specific sentence, as Father Folk tells him that he himself said he will not ask him how to read. It is just one sentence, so Father Folk decides to read it to him. "These might wolf god, the wise monkey god, the fierce dragon god, bless us with your great powers today." Father Folk reads out this sentence to Ash, and then immediately tells him to get out of his room now. Ash leaves the room and starts walking back down the path as he smiles about the manuscript in his hands. This is his first step to the joys of life. The village that Ash resides in is called Noskula, which is a farming village. He has lived in that village ever since he was born. This village is a hick town that is in the middle of nowhere. Ash can somewhat remember his previous life's memories as well, and in those memories, he remembers that he was more richer than now. These memories are vague and are only in small fragments, as well as Ash not even remembering what kind of person he was. Right now, his current life is very inconvenient and more poor compared to before. Right now, there is no such things as an internal combustion engine, horses, or chemical fertilizers in this rural farming village. The villagers have to work very hard every day until they become dizzy. Even though Ash is only 8 years old, he is already an excellent farmer, but he also has back pain from being hunched over every day. Knowing about what he had in his previous life, it feels like a dream out of his reach. He dreams about all the delicious foods and drinks and even the soft bed he sleeps on in his previous life. Right now in his current life, if he is not careful, he will starve to death. This life with no entertainment at all is just too hard for him. In such a desperate situation, Ash found one way to fight that boredom and have some excitement in his life. The way he has found is by reading books, but in order to enjoy these books, he will need to learn how to read fast. He quickly runs to his house and greets his parents and runs to his room. In his room, he is focused on reading and learning how to read. He is thankful that the letters in the manuscript are phonograms, letters with sound, and not ideograms, letters with no sound. Ash reads and studies in his room the whole day and sleeps at night. Even during the day when he has to work, he takes his book with him in order to learn even more. At night, Ash's mother lays him on his bed, exclaiming that Ash has been spending a lot of time studying letter, realizing that he really wants to read. Ash's dad, on the other hand, says that he should not be spending that much time reading books since that is something women does. Ash should instead be tending to the farm and taking care of it rather than wasting time reading. Ash's mom explains that the farm is important, but knowing how to read is also helpful. She is happy that Ash is enjoying himself so much as well. Sometime later, Ash heads back to Father Folk's house and asks him if he can borrow the next book. Father Folk asks Ash if he is already bored of the manuscript. He gave him, but Ash tells him that 1 month is long enough for a manuscript. 1 month is not long enough to learn all of these letters because that would be impossible. Ash tells Father Folk that he has already learned all the letters in the book, so he wants to borrow another one now. Father Folk smirks, chiding Ash that if he wants to make a lie, he should make it more believable. This annoys Ash as he asks Father Folk what he would be willing to do if Ash can prove him wrong. If Ash can prove to Father Folk that he can read, he will be given the rights to borrow any book under his supervision. Father Folk still does not believe Ash, so he just accepts the deal anyways, saying that he will let Ash borrow as many books as he wants. Ash asks Father Folk to lend him a pen and paper, and says that he will write a contract. This contract will state that Father Folk will lend Ash any book as punishment for calling him a liar. Father Folk hands Ash a pen and paper, telling him to write. As Ash keeps writing the contract, Father Folk gets increasingly more surprised, finally seeing that Ash has indeed learnt the letters in 1 month. As soon as Ash is writing the contract, Father Folk takes the contract and is very surprised that Ash has indeed learned how to read and write in 1 month. The words in the contract were written perfectly. He holds Ash by his shoulders, asking him how he even learnt how to read and write this fast. Ash says that all he did was apply the letters he remembered to other sentences Father Folk taught him, and then guess the letters he did not know from context. With this, the contract is set, as Ash decides to pick another religious book or a simple story with similar vocabulary. As time passes by, Ash keeps reading more and more books. Winter comes as Ash is back in Father Folk's house, putting books back onto the shelves as he finishes reading them. Ash has started to read books more quickly now that he knows more about the letters. Even an adult would not be able to read this well or that fast. Father Folk thinks to himself that Ash is an extraordinary guy, even calling him a genius. He tells Ash to sit on the chair as he decides to let Ash read an important book. As Ash sits on the chair, Father Folk pulls out a book from a small chest, telling Ash that he wants him to read this book because he is smart enough to understand the words inside. The book is custom made and Ash opens it up. He notices that it is different from the other books and has beautiful handwriting. As he keeps flipping the pages, Ash notices that he cannot read the words. Father Folk asks him if he can read it, but Ash says that he cannot understand anything, which saddens Father Folk. Some of the letters are similar to the ones he knows, but Ash cannot read most of them and has no clue as to what they are saying. Ash asks Father Folk what kind of book is this. This book is believed to be a manuscript of a book that might have originated from the early period of an ancient civilization. This surprises Ash and makes him excited as well. There are stories about the legends of ancient civilizations, but Ash thought that they were only myths. Father Folk has been trying to decipher this book while he was studying in the capital. He talked to his fellow researchers a lot of times and even looked through all the past research papers, but he still was not able to read it. Since he could not get any results, he was forced to go to this village, but he did not give up at all. Father Folk spent a lot of money to bring this manuscript with him, so he has been working every day to study it. Ash asks him why he is even interested in a book from the ancient civilizations, but even Father Folk wonders too. It might even be for the same reason why Ash wanted to read books. Ash starts to wonder about all the books that he read up to now. There were ancient technologies and objects from those ancient civilizations in those books too, but some of them might not have even existed. In those books, it wrote about a medicine that speeds up the healing process, a lamp to keep the light on without fire, and even enough clothes to change into every day. They could build big cities with all the advanced architecture, and the world would be connected by a means of transportation different and faster from a horse. A life that would be out of reach from this timeline could be found in ancient civilizations. If Ash can decipher these ancient languages, he will be able to unlock all the mysteries of ancient civilizations. He might even be able to bring back some of the riches that he recalled from his past life. In Ash's world, ancient civilizations do exist. In some of the books written, they talked about ancient civilizations and called them legends. The advanced and rich life of ancient civilizations must have existed and could have been real. Ash wants to unravel the truth about these ancient civilizations and wants to know and see if they were real or not. The main way Ash is going to unravel and understand these ancient civilizations is by reading and understanding the ancient language. He might even be able to reclaim those riches in this life as well that he had in his previous life. Ash looks excited as he talks to Father Folk about his plans for investigation ancient civilizations, which makes Father Folk excited as well. He's happy to have someone so reliable like Ash as his partner as well. They get right to their main issue. Some of the letters that were written in the ancient civilization book that Father Folk gave to Ash were similar to the current letters of the current age and has already been confirmed. Father Folk explains to Ash that there are two types of ancient civilizations, early and late. The characters and letters of the early ancient civilizations were passed on to the late ancient civilizations, and those have been passed down to the present day as well. When these writings were passed down, a lot of the characters were modified. As time passed, a large amount of text has been lost, so it is harder to learn about early ancient civilizations and the late ancient civilizations. This manuscript that Father Folk has is believed to be from an early ancient civilization, which explains how some of the letters are the same, but most of it is different. Ash takes another look at that book and flips through it as Father Folk waits for him to see if he can find anything else in it. As Ash flips through the book, he realizes that the ancients had so many letters, and if there was any different way to read them. Soon, he focuses on one of the characters in the book and realizes that it is the same symbol as the one his dad told him to make when tending to the farm. Apparently, it is an old spell that can supposedly make the fields better. Ash wonders that if the mark of the spell is the same character, there could be some kind of meaning behind it as well. These letters do not represent a sound and instead have their own meaning behind it. This means that these letters are ideograms. Ash quickly exclaims to Father Folk that he just had an idea which surprises Father Folk. Apparently, these ancient letters that they cannot read are pictures and not letters. This confuses Father Folk as he repeats what Ash just told him. Ash explains further that these are picturesque characters and not letters themselves, and they try to converse to each other like that. Ash points to Father Folk without saying any words and then to himself. Between each action, Ash adds a single word of grammar to combine them into sentences. Ash then points to his mouth opening and closing, signifying that he is talking. Then Ash writes on a paper using a combination of pictures and words where the pictures are of themselves and the action and the letters are the words that combines them into a sentence. Father Folk starts to slowly understand what Ash means by ideograms, saying that these are what he meant by picturesque characters. In early ancient civilizations, one picture could have many meanings and amount of information behind them, just like the old spell that Ash's dad showed him. Father Folk finds this interesting and could lead them down a different path when researching. This could also explain why there are a lot of different letters in the early ancient civilizations. In the current example made by Ash, they just made 3 new letters to make a sentence. As they talk further, Father Folk starts realizing all of the pieces that could fit together. Father Folk starts saying that this might be bad, but not in the way Ash thinks. Father Folk tells Ash that they might have just hit the jackpot. Father Folk holds Ash by his shoulders and starts saying that this is a huge discovery and wonders how they are going to prove this. Ash gets a bit startled, but Father Folk keeps talking about how he wants to prove this thing already and quickly. Father Folk compliments Ash with a smile, saying that he is the best and says that he wants to keep working together with Ash in the future as well. Some time passes by as Father Folk starts studying the ancient language at a faster pace than before. He even starts skipping sleep and meals in order to finish his research up even faster, so Ash tries his best to take care of his health by bringing him meals and telling him to sleep. Ash also starts reading more books in Father Folk's study while checking up on him, but it does not do any good. The life expectancy of these people is very low, with most people dying by 40 while people living up to 60 are seen as monsters. People are even scared of having a cold because it could lead to death. This is the main reason as to why Father Folk wants to quickly finish his research before he dies, and Ash shares this sentiment as well. Ash keeps reading books every day as he dreams about the riches of the ancient civilizations and wants to reach them as soon as possible. He does not know where those informations could be, but he just wants to read books for now. As he starts to read his books, Ash's dad calls out to him to come and help him tend to the farm, calling Ash lazy. This annoys Ash, but he holds it in, smiling at his dad and asking him how he can help. Ash's dad tells him that Quit has come to peddle for the winter wheat harvest. Quit is a merchant that buys and sells wheat harvests from nearby villages and takes them from village to sell. Ash and his dad take a bountiful of the winter wheat harvest up to Quit into his cart. Quit and Ash's dad talk about demons and being able to escape from them easily, but Ash wonders if these demons even exist. They could perhaps be wild monsters instead, or even thieves themselves. Even if Ash asks someone about them, they all give him a childish response, so he still does not understand most of the world yet. Ash and his dad put down the wheat harvest on the ground. Quit compliments the wheat harvest, saying that it is of good quality and nicely packed. He will buy the wheat harvest for 4 copper coins, and Ash's dad asks Quit how much that is in iron. In iron, 4 copper coins would be 80 iron coins. Ash's dad decides to buy some salt, his usual herbs, grinding stones, and fever reducers from Quid. A jar of salt is 12 iron coins, a set of herbs is 15 iron coins, grinding stone is 8 iron coins, and a bottle of pills is 8 iron coins. As Ash's dad takes out the coins to pay for everything, he notices a strange liquid in a vial in Quid's cart. Quid sees him eyeing it and says that this is honey wine, which is worth 12 iron coins. Ash's dad thinks about it for a bit before asking Quid if he can give him a small discount, even though he still has enough money to pay for it. Before Ash's dad can reply, Ash says that they need to buy a cloth before getting the wine, otherwise his mom will get angry. Ash also asks for 2 extra needles as well, which is worth 16 iron coins total. As Ash buys all that, his dad is still eyeing the jar of honey wine as he pleads to Quid to give him a small discount. Quid relents and gives him the small discount, but only for this time. Even though Quid did not want to give the discount, since a customer wants to buy something, he really cannot refuse. Ash gets a bit skeptical as he tells Quid that he might have calculated the wrong price, which alarms Quid. Doing some quick calculations, Ash sees that even if they exclude the honey wine, their total is 59 iron coins. Since the winter wheat is worth 80 iron coins, even if they buy the honey wine at the original price, they will still have some change left over. Ash starts to act as if he is emotionally hurt, saying that if were to be swindled, he would have to go to the church to grieve. The priest, Father Folk, would tell the villagers about this issue and Quid would lose business in this village due to that. Quid is a skilled merchant, so even though he made a small mistake, it can happen once or twice. Before Quid, some other merchants such as Joel and Ban the Hunter did the same mistake as well, implying that they also lost business in this village as well. Ash decides not to spill this secret to anyone else since Quid has been good to the village so far and is somewhat a trustworthy person. Since Ash will not tell anyone else, Quid should be a good merchant who will continue to gain Ash's trust as well. Quid quickly apologizes and finds something in his cart to give something to Ash to repay him. Quid pulls out a piece of fabric from his cart and hands it to Ash. Ash takes it and says that his mother will be pleased because it is a beautiful piece of fabric, and he thanks Quid. Since they have a deal now, Quid will be a trustworthy merchant to them. As long as they get a fair price on items, that is all that matters, and even more if Ash can get discounts on those items too. Ash's dad tells him that they should get going, so they both start to leave as Quid waves them goodbye, a bit scared from Ash's intellect. Back in the village, Ash goes to Father Folk's house and asks him if he is eating his food properly. Father Folk gets annoyed as Ash keeps pestering him, acting as if he is his wife or something like that. Father Folk calls Ash very cocky to be meddling himself in an adult's affair. But if a child like Ash is worrying about someone like Father Folk, he should change his behavior. They start talking about the research again as Father Folk says that he has made some more slight progress since last time. He was able to identify a few names which appears often in the book. If there is a name that was passed down to the present day, they might be able to even decipher it. Ash looks around Father Folk's house to borrow some more books, and he decides on some storybooks. Ash also tries to find some general education books to further his understanding of this world. He goes to the cathedral and looks at some travel diaries as well as technical books on agriculture and smithing. Some of these books could have been passed down from the ancient civilizations as well. As Ash reads a book about botany, the door to the cathedral opens up and a young girl comes in. She greets Ash as she comes into the cathedral. In a small flashback, the same young girl sees Ash and calls him a strange boy. He always looked composed compared to other kids his age and acted more grown up than the other adults in the village. She notices that he smiles, but at the same time, he does not really smile. One day, she saw Ash running towards the church with a bright smile going from ear to ear, which stunned her. The church is a place of learning, but Father Folk is cranky most of the time. So the other kids are usually work or look after their families, so no one really spends time in the cathedral to study. Despite all that, she heard that Ash has been going to the church a lot lately to study language and read many books. She wonders why he studies a lot and how much it makes him so happy. She does not like studying at all, and it is not fun for her, so he does not understand him at all. However, his genuine smile makes her intrigued, and she wants to know what makes him smile so brightly. Before she knew it, she opened the cathedral doors to meet Ash and ask him about it. They greet each other as Ash calls her Micah. She walks closer to him and notices that Ash is reading a book right now. She gets a bit frantic as she asks Ash if he has been studying here lately. Ash agrees and says that he has been borrowing these books from Father Folk to read. Micah asks Ash if it is even fun to read these books, and Ash makes a big smile, saying that he finds it extremely fun to read. This makes Micah fluster as she sees him big smile again. Ash asks her why she came to the church and if she needs something from Father Folk. Ash says that he is in his study and goes to his study to call them out, saying that Micah wants to meet him. Father Folk reluctantly comes out and greets Micah with a smile as well, calling her by her name properly. This annoys Ash because Father Folk calls him a stupid brat whenever they talk to each other. Micah tells Father Folk that she wants to learn how to read and if Father Folk was willing to teach her how to read as well. She glances over at Ash as she says that, and Father Folk notices that action as he smiles. Micah is the daughter of the village chief, so Ash thinks that she really should know how to read and write as well. In this village, the literacy rate is close to 0. The village chief and his family are the only exceptions in this village, since they do need to know how to read, write, and do math in order to maintain the village properly. Micah most likely saw Ash going to the church a lot lately, so she probably decided to visit and be properly educated as well. The village chief's wife, Yuka, is also the very person that opened Ash's eyes to the wonders of books. The recitation she held in the church was what made Ash want to read and see the world. To him, Yuka gave him the hope he needed to keep on living, essentially his savior. Father Folk asks Micah again if she really does want to read and write as well. Since Father Folk is the priest of this village, it is his job to teach, so he decides to accept and help her learn. However, he will not be able to teach when he has other tasks to attend to, but Ash also knows how to read and write as well. Since Ash and Micah are the same age, he will teach her to read and write as well whenever Father Folk is too busy with his other work. Micah easily accepts this offer as Ash realizes that he got roped into something he did not want to do at all. Father Folk tells Ash not to let him down since Ash is his #1 disciple. Father Folk takes advantage of this situation and tells Ash to teach Micah right now since he is busy with his research and other responsibilities. Ash sees Father Folk leave as he realizes that Father Folk just wants to focus on deciphering the ancient language. On the other hand, Micah is happy as she now has one-to-one time with Ash, and he will be teaching her as well. Micah asks Ash if they can start now as Ash realizes that if Micah can also learn to read and write, he will have another reader by his side. For him, this would just be another form of entertainment, so they decide to start right now. Ash pulls out a few books out and puts them on the table, saying that they should start on these books for now. It is the same manuscript that Father Folk first gave to Ash when he wanted to learn how to read and write as well. It is the book that Father Folk uses during services, and it contains all the holy verses that he recites during service too. It would be easy to learn since they all heard the words before, so Micah should be able to learn with this book quite easily. As Ash flips through the book, he thinks about where they should start. As he does that, Micah asks him which part he first started in, and Ash pulls out the page that he first started in. It has the verse, "Strong wolf god, wise monkey god, and fierce dragon god. Bless us with your great powers today." Micah is familiar with this verse since Father Folk talks about it during his sermon too. As Ash teaches Micah about the verse, she gets distracted from staring at Ash. They keep going as Ash explains the strong and the wolf god, saying that they possess a healthy, tough body. People often pray to the wolf god before childbirth or physical labor because he is the god of healthy bodies. Micah gets a bit confused because the word strong can also mean something else, so Ash explains as well that strong can also be used to describe how someone thinks or feels. Ash tells Micah that she should ask him anything that she does not understand, and if it is something he does not know the answer of, they will ask Father Folk together. Micah then asks Ash about the wise monkey god. Wise is just another word for smart, so this part refers to the prayer to the monkey god for a piece of their wisdom when studying like they are doing right now. Micah decides to do a small prayer right now since they are studying as well. Ash is a bit impressed in the way she is keeping up with the studies so easily. After they pray to the monkey god, they go back to studying together. The whole day passes by and Father Folk comes back to the church to check up on them. He tells Micah that it is getting dark outside, so she should head back to her home, but she is a bit scared of the darkness. Ash notices this and says that he will walk her back home since he cannot let a woman walk alone in the dark. Father Folk smirks at Ash, but he is too oblivious to his actions as Micah thanks Ash for walking her home. As they walk together in the dark, Micah compliments Ash on how fast he learned to read and how he knows so much even though they are both the same age. Ash knows that he learned all of this so fast because he has memories of his previous life, but he does not tell her. If everyone found out that he has these memories, who knows what would happen to him. He keeps it a secret for now, even though most adults would assume that he is just a weird kid and ignore him. However, on the off chance that it would cause a big issue, it would put him in an even more awkward situation. Ash compliments Micah on learning a lot of new words today, saying that she's amazing as well. She will learn more of these new words in time as long as she keeps on track with her studies, so she should not worry about something like this. As they keep walking, Micah trips on a rock on the ground, but Ash quickly holds her hand to keep her from falling. Micah gets flustered as she holds on to Ash's hand, but Ash keeps holding her hand since they are walking in the dark. He does not want Micah getting hurt since she is irreplaceable to him, which makes her embarrassed even more. Throughout all of this, Ash is still oblivious to his actions and to Micah's attraction to him. Micah notices a small book in Ash's hands and she asks him about it, trying to detract from the current situation. In Ash's hands, he is holding a book about different trees and herbs that might even come in handy. This book has a lot of information regarding trees and herbs and what can be eaten or turned into medicine. It covers a lot of trees or herb that has a practical use. If someone can find these herbs or trees, they might even be able to make tasty meals or make a new type of medicine. Micah gets surprised at that revelation, saying that books really are amazing. Ash agrees with her, saying that learning and reading books means more fun and even more knowledge. The church has a lot of other books as well, so Micah will be able to enjoy them as well once she learns how to read. Micah decides to study hard from now on so she can read those fun books too. They keep walking with their hands held together until they reach Micah's house. She thanks him for walking her home at night, and Ash lets go of her hands immediately. He says goodbye to her and then starts walking back home, not paying any more attention to her and instead focusing on his book. It is almost time for wild herb foraging, so he wants to read this book to see which plants are the best before that time comes. The skies are clear as Ash gets ready with a small bag on his shoulder. He has his botanical guide research book with him, as well as he gets ready for the wild herb foraging. He is the most excited for this out of all the other kids, as they all wonder why he is so excited about something like this. Once everyone is ready, all of the kids stand together as the adult of the group tells them all to partner up with someone, so they are not alone. She warns them that there are some reports of bears that are showing up deeper in the forests, so they should not be going too far away from the village. Micah comes up to Ash, saying that he is really motivated about today's herb foraging. Ash has been reading the herb and tree botany book, so he knows what herbs to look out for. He wants to look for herbs that can be used for medicine and food, since those are the most important uses for herbs. The book has a few similar ones, so his plan is to start his search with those herbs. Looking at the drawings from inside the book, some of these herbs are most likely seen in this forest as well, so they should be able to get some. As Micah and Ash walk alongside each other, another young boy watches them in jealousy. He stops Ash as Ash calls him Jiggle. Jiggle tells Ash that he's coming with him instead, so they should get moving. Micah is sad about this, but she joins up another group of girls and goes with them instead. Down the path that Jiggle wants to go through, Ash notices that there might be some of those specific herbs deep down that path. Ash agrees as he says that there might be a patch of bracken down that path, since there was some the year before as well. As Micah and Ash say goodbye to each other, they go on their separate ways to forage herbs. As Ash and Jiggle walk down the path alongside two other boys, Ash sees that bracken and crouches down to forage them. The other boys also pull out the bracken as well, since they managed to find a lot of them so quickly too. Gathering the usual wild herbs is the most important, but Ash also wants to find the herbs that he saw in the guide too. Ash walks up the trunk of a big tree and sees another type of plant down the path. He notices that the leaf of that plant is in the same shape as the one in the guide, as he recalls that it is called aloe. This aloe can be used for many things, such as dressing for wounds, upset stomachs, and skincare. It is even safe to eat, making it a useful plant that would be invaluable even in his past life. Ash smiled because this plant might even be handy for him here as well, so it is a huge discovery for him. Suddenly, something hits Ash in the back as he falls onto the ground and falls unconscious. He wakes up some time later when it becomes darker outside, as he tries to remember where he is at right now. He remembers that it was morning and he was foraging for wild herbs in the forest. He puts his hand on his head and feels some wet blood as he winces in pain, possibly hurting his head from the fall earlier. His memory is patchy, but all he remembers is staggering around the forest by himself for a while before falling unconscious, and that is how he reached that place where he is at right now. Ash wonders if he is stranded here and decides to work out on how to get back to the village. He really wants to and needs to get back to the village because he wants to keep helping Father Folk with the ancient language. He also wants to help and teach Micah how to read and write, and he himself wants to read many more books. Ash stands back up, resolving himself to get back to the village no matter what. He looks at the sun's position and sees that north is to his right, so the village would be in that direction as well. As long as he keeps his mind clear and focuses on surviving, he will make it back alive. Since the sun is already setting, it would be risky to try and run back home fast, as it could make the situation even worse. He decides to stay in the forest for the night and walk back the next morning. In his belongings, Ash has the botanical guide, his spare cloak, a knife, hand towels, the packed basket to gather the wild herbs, and a flint and stone. He should have everything he needs in order to make it through the night at least. The first thing he needs to do is to start a fire before it gets dark, since fire is the most essential thing right now. After that, Ash decides to find a source of water to secure a drinking source. As he walks around the forest, Ash finds some sticks for fire as well as some herbs. He also finds the aloe trees this deep in the forest too. He gathers a bunch of these aloe leaves as well, since it would come in handy as a food source, and even to help him with his wounds. As he cuts the aloe leaves, Ash hears a faint sound of running water. He starts walking towards it, excited to find a river. He wants to drink the water right now, but it might be infected with parasites and could possibly give him an infection. He could boil the water to make it cleaner, but he does not have the equipment, such as a pot, to do so. He decides to only drink the water directly from the river as a last resort. Right by the river, Ash starts to build a small fire by striking the flint and stone together. As the fire gets built, Ash also takes out the aloe and applies it to his head wounds and bandages it up with some spare cloth. He sits by the fire as he is glad that he managed to start a fire. For now, he has some light and some heat to help him get through the night, even if it is very small. For the aloe, Ash chopped it up and packed it in a hand towel and wrapped it around his head. The warm sensation from the wound is completely gone now, and he even used the leftover aloe to satisfy his hunger and thirst. Along the way, Ash also found some edible berries, so he washes it up in the river and eats it as well. Right now, he will be able to get through the night easily, but he is still hungry as he wants some protein. He dreams about finding a snake to eat and drinking its fresh blood to satisfy his thirst as he finally falls asleep by the fire. In the morning, he wakes up thirsty and hungry. He rubs his eyes as he pulls out the aloe from the night before and decides to eat that for now. If Ash wants to move around the forest to get back home, he needs some actual drinking water to help him get around. Since aloe is mainly used for wounds and the skin, eating it too much could do some damage to him as well. Ash pulls out his botany book to see if there are any other plants that can retain a large amount of water. As he flips through the pages, he realizes that he can make a small pot using the paper in the book. Even though it is made of paper, the pot can still be held over an open flame and the paper will not catch on fire. He will be able to use it to boil water as many times as he wants to, making it a handy tool for him to use. Since this would be possible with paper, he wonders if the same would be possible with leaves as well, since they are harder to burn. Ash decides to do a quick trial run as he plucks out some large leaves from a nearby plant and makes a small pot. He puts water from the river into the leaf pot and puts it on the fire to boil the water. It somehow works and manages to boil the water, as Ash waits for the water to cool down a bit before drinking it. He makes more of the leaf bowl to boil more water as he finally quenches his thirst. Next, he needs some food as he notices something in the river. He notices that it is fish swimming around in the river, so he pulls out his basket. Fish is more safer to eat than wild herbs, so Ash puts his basket between some rocks in the water to catch some fish. Sometime later, some fishes come into the basket as Ash quickly pulls the basket out and gets hungry seeing the fish. This would be his source of protein as Ash cooks the fish over the fire and eats it. As long as he keeps using this method to refuel himself, he will be able to avoid starving to death. Now that Ash has food and water, he is able to calm down and think more easily. He decides that today he will work on securing more water and food and then head back to the village the day after. As he keeps working on his plan, a large black figure looks over at Ash and approaches him. The figure looms over Ash as he looks behind him. Back in the village, Yuka, the village chief's wife, goes to Father Folk's house and gives him some food and materials for his work. Father Folk thanks her for her help as he finds some candles in the small package as well. Yuka explains that he has been taking good care of Micah recently since her studies are important to herself and her family. She says that ever since Ash has been coming over to Father Folk's house, he has been looking more healthier. As they talk a bit more, Micah barges into Father Folk's house and calls out her mom as she gets scared. Micah falls onto the ground as Yuka asks her why she is shouting and if the herd foraging is already over. Micah hugs her mom as she says that Ash has not returned from the woods ever since the herd foraging. Yuka asks Micah what even happened, but Micah says that he just disappeared. Jigsaw was the first person to notice that Ash was missing and told everyone else about it. Micah said that Ash might still be nearby, so they should go deeper into the forest to search for him. Jigsaw told her that it would be dangerous since there have been some sightings of bears in the forest, so they should go back to the village to get some adults. Micah asks her mom what they should do because if a bear found Ash and attacked him, he would die. She cries as she does not know what to do as her mom hugs her, saying that Ash will be fine and that everyone in the village will search for him. Father Folk crouches down to Micah and tells her that she should not waste her tears like that. He tells her that if she cries now, she will not have enough tears for when Ash does come back. Father Folk assures Micah that Ash will come back because some measly bear would not be enough to put down the devilish Ash so easily. Even if the Grim Reaper came for Ash, he would just make up some excuse to not die and make some bargain with the Grim Reaper and come back home. He pats Micah on her head and tells her to save her tears for when Ash comes back. Yuka smiles at him as he calms down Micah. Outside the church, in the middle of the village, Ash's parents and some other villagers are still unable to find Ash. 3 days have passed now since Ash has gone missing. The search for Ash has already been called off, and it would be even harder to imagine that a lost child would emerge from the forest alive. Father Folk stands back near a tree as Yuka comes up to him, telling him that everyone has arrived and if he would proceed forward with the funeral. Father Folk asks her if they might be being too hasty with their decisions, but they searched everywhere and still have not found Ash at all. Since they did not find him at all, it would be hard to believe that a child would be alive out there in the forest that is teeming with bears. Father Folk does not mind proceeding with the funeral, but he does say that Ash might show up after all the proceedings is done as Yuka hopes that that is the case. However, Yuka tells Father Folk not to say that near Ash's parents, David and Sheba. Getting their hopes up might upset them, and it would be all too much for them to bear with it. Even after all that, Father Folk still does not believe that Ash would die so easily. Ash knows a lot from reading all those books and gaining knowledge from them all to survive out there in the forest. Father Folk remembers all the time that Ash has been annoying him all this time while also gaining information about the world too. Father Folk tells Yuka that they should postpone the proceedings for a bit longer since they still not have enough evidence Ash has died. As Father Folk tries to explain to her about why he thinks that Ash suddenly comes up from the forest and sees everyone standing around, asking why there is a crowd of people standing around in the village. Everyone turns around to look at him in surprise as David and Sheba run up to him and hug him as they cry in tears of joy. His parents hug him hard as they weep in joy, thankful that their son is back safe and healthy. Everyone in the village looks at him in shock that he is still alive, even Yuka and Father Folk. Ash asks Father Folk what all of this even is and what is happening. Father Folk smiles, knowing that Hunch was right that Ash was still alive all this time. Ash asks him to explain what is happening as Father Folk tells him that they were just about to conduct Ash's funeral. This shocks Ash, asking him why they came to that conclusion. Ash may have been stranded out in the woods with the bears, but only 3 days have passed since he was lost. Father Folk laughs at Ash is courageous, repeating his words back him. Ash's mom tells him that this was serious and anyone could tell that something must have happened to him. As they talk, Micah walks up to Ash, calling out his name. She starts crying a bit, confirming that if he really is Ash. Ash tells her that he is safe and sound, although a bit tired. Micah cries more, calling Ash a big dummy and how he can sit there so calmly. However, she sits down beside him and is really glad that Ash came back alive and that he is a light. Ash apologizes to her, saying that he's finally back home. Father Folk sighs at Ash and asks him how he even made it through that past 3 days. Ash starts to explain to him that he met with Ban the Hunter. The black figure that came up behind Ash while he was eating was Ban the Hunter. As Ash sees him behind him, he greets Ban and says that an amazing coincidence that he is here too. Ban is wearing the skin of some furry animal on his head along with a tunic robe. He stays quiet as he sits down in front of Ash as Ash offers to give him one of the fishes, but Ban shakes his head. Ban the Hunter is the only hunter in the whole village. He goes deep into the forest all alone to hunt for food, making him a real woodland specialist. He does not really talk or sociable, so he keeps quiet most of the time, but all of the kids find him scary. Ban asks Ash what is wrong as Ash starts to explain what has happened to him, since it is a bit odd that Ash would be out in the forest all alone. Ash explains to Ban that he is stranded and lost, and if Ban can lead him back to the village, and Ban nods. Ash is happy that Ban would help him, saying that he is a real life saver, and now he can get home safely. Back to the present, Ash tells Father Folk that Ban guided him through the forest and he made his way back to the village. Some things might have gotten out of hand, but thanks to Ban the Hunter, Ash was also able to collect a lot of wild herbs over the past 2 days, especially the aloe plant. As he says that, Ash's mom and Micah looks at him, a bit angry as Ash apologizes to them for making them worry. They start to tell him that they were very worried about him, and if he has any idea how much grief he put everyone through. They bicker back and forth as everyone is happy that Ash is back alive and well now. Everyone except Jiggle. A few days after what would have been Ash's funeral, he sees some angry adults scolding Jiggle, who was with Ash when they went wild herb foraging. The truth behind Ash's small disappearance was that Jiggle pushed Ash off of the tree he was standing on as a prank. Ash fell off a small cliff and went unconscious and laid there on the ground as Jiggle and his friends left Ash behind and did not notify any adults of this issue. Then after that, Ban the Hunter came to the forest and saw the footprints near the tree and examined it, noticing that the footprints were similar to Jiggle's. Even Ash was surprised that Ban the Hunter could figure that out just from seeing footprints. In the village, Jiggle keeps glancing back at Ash, but does not say anything and instead walks away from him. Jiggle most probably hates Ash, but even he does not know the reason why he hates him. However, now that Ash is back safe at the village, this issue does not bother him at all, and even the wound on his head has healed up as well. Although for Jiggle, pulling a lot of pranks on any other people could be disastrous to Jiggle himself, so Ash thinks that he should stop pranking anyone else from now on. Ash realizes now that holding a funeral even after only 3 days have passed, if anyone else was lost in the forest, they would not have came back alive either. For Ash, running into Ban the Hunter in the forest was a very valuable experience for Ash, because he showed him many skills. As a skilled hunter, Ban single-handedly provides the village with meat and other types of raw materials too. Among his other duties, Ban also protects the village from dangerous animals and any other external forces. Even Ash was amazed by how much Ban the Hunter even knows about the various types of plants and trees. Including aloe, he even knows how and where to collect these plants as well. There are many things that Ban the Hunter knows about wild plants that Ash cannot learn just from reading books. With his help, Ash can improve his knowledge about botany drastically and make research into botany run more quickly. He will even be able to develop more important foods and medicines for the village as he gains more experience and knowledge about the world of botany. Sometime after coming back to the village, Ash decides to ask Ban the Hunter to make him his apprentice in order to teach Ash many things. Ban the Hunter happily agrees and they both shake hands as Ash has successfully become Ban's apprentice. After that, Ash's life went back to normal as he helps his parents with the farm and the house, Father Folk with his research into ancient civilization, and teaching Micah how to read and write. He also has started assisting Ban the Hunter with his work of foraging wild herbs and catching and trapping small animals. This leads Ash down the path of beginning his own botanical research in his own time. The first plant on his long list is the aloe plant he found in the forest. Since he used it to treat his wound while wandering around in the forest, it might be as useful as it was in his past life. This aloe is also more readily available, and he can experiment with it and not worry about it from running out. Ash slides open a small wooden box and pulls out a small rat that is still alive and holds it up by its tail. He applied aloe to a wound on the rat previously and notices that the wound has healed more quickly than the wound that he did not apply the aloe to. After this experiment, Ash realizes that he can use aloe as an ointment to put on small wounds, but he also notices some side effects of this. The rat flails around in Ash's hands as Ash notices that the area he applied the aloe to can also develop a rash. The effects vary based on how much of the aloe is applied and how long the aloe is applied for. Ash scribbles this observation down in his notepad as he moves on to the next experiment. As he progresses through his experiments and tests, Ash also improves his workspace and the materials for his experiments. He uses a paper, a cool pen, and ink because it would be necessary in order for his research to progress, so he bargained or ripped off, with Quid the merchant and bought these materials for himself. Since Ash does not have any income yet, Quid just put all of his payment onto a tab that Ash will have to pay off later on when he does get some income. The rat that is still sitting on Ash's desk tries to run away, but Ash quickly grabs it by its tail since he still has some use for it. The name that Ash decided on the small rat is Lil Guinea Pig, although it is still considered an experimental animal rather than a pet. At the current moment, Ash is using the rat to test the Allow's medicinal effects, but he will need more rats in order to carry out his other experiments as well. These rats will not be able to refuse anything that Ash does on them. Spoken like a true scientist. Ash does not care that he is using these rats in his experiments and does not feel bad about it, because these rats are enemies to him. In this world of agriculture, people are always trying to stave off hunger no matter what. However, these indecent and invasive rats are always trying to eat up the village's harvests and need to be exterminated whenever they are seen. As long as it is for the purpose of experimentation, Ash does not mind treating them badly of purpose or force, feeding them a large amount of medicine. Ash holds the rat by its tail as Ash tries to force feed it some medicine on a spoon, but the rat flails around a lot. Through his experiments, Ash concludes that when applying Allow on the skin, it is effective against cuts, burns, and bug bites when using the right amount. When the Allow is ingested, it helps with weak stomachs, and it is effective against constipation as well. However, the user needs to be careful with the dosage amount as the effects of the Allow is strong in higher dosages. This shows that Allow has a lot of positive effects and has a lot of potential usages. After experimenting with rats, Ash decides that he needs to experiment and see if these effects also translate well onto the human body in the same way. He decides that he will use his own body to experiment this Allow as he decides to make some Allow salve. To make this, he minces some Allow and mixes it in animal fat and put it over some fire and bring it to a boil. After it is done cooling and becomes a solid, it is done. Ash applies this Allow salve on one hand only and keeps the other hand free of this Allow salve in order to see its effects clearly. After some time passes, he notices that on the hand he applied the Allow salve onto is more cleaner and smoother than the hand he did not apply the Allow salve to. The Allow salve also healed all the cracks and hangnails on the hand it was applied to as well, making it a very good moisturizer. He has tested this onto the guinea pig rat as well, but Ash is happy that it also has a positive effect on the human body as well. As he stands there happy about his positive result, his mother asks him to collect some water with her. As he reaches out to get a bucket, Ash's mother notices how smooth and clean his hands are and reaches out to it to hold it in her hands. Ash explains to her that he was testing Allow as an ointment, and as they can see, it has a positive effect on the human body. This amazes Ash's mother as she asks him if he has any leftover ointment as well. She asks him if she can use some for herself, and he happily agrees. However, there is a chance that it might not work well on her body since everyone's skin reacts differently to things like this. She does not mind and immediately puts it on her hands as she notices how nice it feels to apply it onto her hand too. Ash's mother hopes that this makes her hand smooth as well, just like Ash's, as she smiles and thanks her son for this ointment. Ash finally realizes that this ointment could be a huge deal as he sees his mother's reaction to it. He decides to make a bigger batch of this ointment for his mother, but then he also gets another idea that maybe other people would be interested in this ointment as well. Not just women, but men and children could make use of this ointment as well. There are a lot of people in this village that have rough hands, so there would be a big market for this Allow ointment. Something this small could drastically improve the life of this village. The Allow salve that Ash made proved to be very effective. It did not take long for his own mother's rough hands to clear up and become more softer and cleaner. As word got around of this ointment, it drew more interest as people noticed his soft and clean hands. His next customer after his own mother was Micah, who asked him how his hands are so clean. She asks if he has medicine that makes your skin smooth, and he asks her if she can get some for herself too. Just like that, Ash started getting more testers for his Allow salve ointment as Yuka, Mika's mother, also decided to use the Allow salve ointment after Mika told her about it. Enough this Ash told them all that it is still a work in progress. All of the women happily agreed to cooperate with him and his ointment. After all that, Ash gets back to work on his experiments again. He knows that currently, the Allow salve ointment would already be a big deal to the village if he passed it down. It would improve their quality of life by a great amount, but something like this could also possibly be used in some other ways as well, and he could much more with it. Some people would even pay for something like this. Ash finally realizes that he could ask Quid the merchant and make him do some test marketing in the city and villages he travels to often. There would be even more people that would be interested in bigger towns than this small village. If it brings him some form of revenue, then Ash could buy new things and improve the quality of life in the village by an even greater amount. He could even purchase farming equipment or horses and cattle that could help with the farming process in the village. Ash decides to read some more books to get a better idea on how to do all of this. As he is reading his book in the church, Mika comes up and asks what difficult book he is reading this time. Ash holds the book up to Mika's face as she reads it and sees that it is the livestock manual that he is reading. Ash compliments on Mika's reading skills as it has improved a lot since she first started learning how to read and write some time ago. Mecca then asks him why livestock specifically, since it usually means horses and cows. Ash replies that it refers to certain animals that people raise and keep as stock, as both of these kids drool at the thought of having meat. Ash explains to Mecca that if his aloe salve ointment is a success, he will be able to make a lot of money. That is why he is reading this book, to see what to use his money on, as he could use it to start something new in this village. However, the research he has done shows him that raising livestock is not easy at all, so he needs some sizable income before he can even think of starting something like this. Some of the money would need to be spent on things such as experts on animals, stables, pair of animals for breeding, and many, many more necessary things. Chickens are the easiest to raise, however, their clucking sounds draw wolves and demons out of the forest, which makes them dangerous to raise in a village that does not have many defenses. All of this research also taught Ash that demons are very distinct and different from regular dangerous animals such as wolves or bears. Scraping his memory, Ash realizes that Father Folk told him that a demon raid wiped out a late-period ancient civilization in the past. However, the early ancient civilizations fell due to a population increase depleting their resources, so they did not have the same issue of demons. Ash wonders what demons actually are and what they look like as well. Ash tells Micah that he will focus on buying iron farming tools or something of equal value first, but he has not fully decided yet. Micah looks at Ash in astonishment as she calls him an amazing person. His aloe salve ointment worked wonderfully for herself as Ash holds her hand to closely inspect it. She blushes as Ash holds her hand and does not hear him asking if she feels any pain or itchiness after applying it. Ash quickly apologizes that he should not have grabbed her hands so fast, and it was not proper etiquette towards a lady of high ranking. Micah does not mind and tells him not to worry about it as she looks down, trying not to look him in the eyes. Ash knows that she may be young, but she is still a lady, so we should treat her as a lady should be treated. Micah detracts from that conversation as she tells Ash that nothing hurts or itches and compliments the ointment, saying that it made her skin smooth. Ash is happy to hear that, as he also asks her if her mother also have any issues with the ointment, but Micah replies that she does not have any issues with it. After all that, Ash tells her that they should go back to studying as Micah goes back to practicing her writing. Back in Yuka's house, she is amazed that Ash was able to invent a new type of medicine. He has apparently rediscovered a technology that existed back in the ancient civilizations. This job is usually reserved to researchers that are affiliated with the church, and not just from any church, but the church that serves in the capital of the country. She is amazed that a young boy from a village such as this could manage such a feat. She looks down at her hands and sees how well the ointment worked, thinking to herself that it worked very well. This village has never produced a single specialized product in its own name, but now they suddenly have a product that does not even exist in the capital. Yuka and her husband always tried their best to make use of the extremely limited resources they have in the village and always wondered whether they could leave a legacy behind for the next generation of villagers. However, out of nowhere, this village gained a new resource that no one else was able to acquire before. She squeezes her hands as she is amazed, but there is also a small issue with this new revelation as well. This aloe salve medicine will most likely gather attention from all over the country, but it will also gather the attention of people who will not approve of Ash's grand achievement. She decides that she needs to take some action in order to keep Ash and the villagers out of harm's way. Yuka wonders about what to do, then decides that she will invite Ash over for dinner, and they will talk about what they should do regarding the aloe medicine. She will also ask him what Ash intends to do now that he has such an important invention at his hands. However, if everything works out, this would be a huge turning point for the whole village as well. Sometime later, Ash comes to the village chief's household after she is invited over for dinner, saying that it is her way of thanking him for the aloe salve. He dressed up a bit in order to look good in front of the village chief. He knocks on the door and introduces himself as Micah opens the door, also wearing her best clothes for the guest. They greet each other as Ash compliments on her dress that suits her well. She thanks him and compliments Ash as well, calling him very cool. Ash thanks her for the compliment as well as he realizes that greeting guests and showing them inside the house is taking a huge toll on Micah, even though it is just Ash. Before coming over, Ash's parents even told him that he should wear the best clothes possible in order to make the best impression possible. Behind Micah, Yuka comes up and compliments him as well, telling him to come inside and make himself right at home. Yuka's husband is also in the house as they all sit by the dinner table to have dinner. On the table, there is a lavish spread of food that Ash was never able to have before. Yuka tells him to eat up before it gets cold, and he digs right in, eating the various meats with good manners. Yuka notices this and compliments Ash on his table manners as Ash says that everyone here is a meat eater, and he is just following their examples. He compliments the food and Yuka for cooking such a delicious meal, saying that he is envious of her husband for having such delicious meals every day. Yuka is flattered by his compliment as she looks over at her husband with heated passion. While eating, Ash realizes that Yuka really is the most elegant and most refined woman in the whole village. It would make sense seeing that Yuka was not originally from this village in the first place. She was born and raised as the daughter of an influential and powerful family in the capital. The way Yuka and Clean, her husband, got married is that he went to the capital to start his apprenticeship, and they met each other. When they met each other, they fell madly in love with each other, and he took her hand in marriage. There was also some kind of heroic tale behind it, but no one really explained it any further than that. After finishing his meal, Ash thanks Yuka for the meal, and then they start to get to business. Yuka wants to talk about the aloe salve ointment that Ash has created. She heard that he is planning on selling it through Quid the Merchant, but he replies that it is still in the works, so he is not fully sure yet. Yuka tells him that she is certain that the medicine will surely sell well and that he and his family will make a lot of money because of it. This will make him stand out more from everyone else. Ash understands that having such a big divide in wealth between himself and others would definitely put a wall among the villagers. Yuka compliments him again on his quick thinking and how his vocabulary is so advanced. Ash uses the excuse that he is father folk's disciple, so that is why he knows so much about stuff like this, even though he barely put any effort into teaching Ash. Yuka explains further that she has discussed this with her husband as well, and that what he is trying to do is a very good thing for the village and for himself. However, to ensure that there are no issues that arise later in the future, she wants to come up with ideas together with him to make sure that everything is all good. Ash agrees with her, and also thinks to himself how he never thought that far ahead and should have known better. Wasting money on personal stuff was not in his plan at all, but he does need to earn a lot of money, which will cause jealousy amongst the villagers. His dad would even spend the money on wine and alcohol and brag about it, which would cause even more issues. Buying items for the village is expensive and Ash will need to save for that too, but saving money will also cause other issues as well. As Ash thinks hard about all of this, Mika looks over at him, assuming that her mother is bullying Ash. She quickly yells out to her mother to not bully him, and Yuka retorts by saying how dare she defy her own mother, albeit in a more of a humorous way. Ash likes the way Yuka smiles villainously, thinking to himself that it looks good on her. Mika says that if her own mother is going to be mean to Ash, she will make her pay, even if it is her own mother doing it. Yuka replies back saying that Ash is the one trying to cause trouble in the village. Ash realizes that if Yuka did not explain it to him, he really might have destroyed his relations with the village, so she is somewhat right. Mika replies by saying that Ash is saving money for the village so he can buy livestock and farming tools. He's been trying really hard to figure out which path would benefit the village more. Mika compliments Ash even more by saying that he is always thinking about the village and is an amazing person as well. Yuka adds in that he is a handsome person as well, which Mika agrees with in the heat of the moment. Ash smiles at the compliment given by Mika as she finally realizes what she just said, blushing at the end. Klein quickly gets behind Mika and stops her fall as she gets overheated. He takes her away to put her to bed as Yuka and Ash are the only two persons left at the dinner table. Yuka laughs as Mika is whisked away as Ash asks her if she was just putting up an act together. After some time, they get back on topic as Yuka asks Ash if buying farm tools and livestock really is his plan for what to buy from the profits of the medicine. Ash noticed that it is hard to live here, and it is difficult as well, so he wants to alleviate that as best as he can. Yuka says that if alleviating the issues with food is his main goal, it would probably work just as well if he just bought food from Quid the Merchant. Ash knows that that food would only be enough for him and his family and no one else in the whole village. That is not enough to satisfy Ash because when compared to the riches he saw in his past life, this would be nothing compared to it. He does not need the very best that perpetuates the status quo. All he needs is the bare minimum that would set a standard for the village that they are lacking. It is an idea that only exists in pages of fantasy, and you might not even be able to ever get it in his lifetime. However, even if he wants to achieve a fraction of that idea, he will need to rely on society as a whole rather than just on himself. If he cannot do it alone, he will employ 100 people's help. If 100 people are not enough, you will get 1,000 people to do the job. If Ash wants to make this idea come true, he will have to build up the resources for 10,000 people if needed. This daydream may be impossible now, but Ash still wants to try and accomplish it as best as he can. He explains to Yuka that he will not there and act like a saint, but that he believes that to attain the luxuries that he desires, he will make everyone happy. Yuka asks him what luxuries he really desires as Ash explains that he has a childlike dream that might seem mundane to others. He wants to lead a life that is depicted in the books that he reads, a rich life where everything is convenient. He wants to achieve the legendary life of the ancient civilizations. Ash's mouth waters at the thought of living in the same way as the ancient civilizations once did. He wants water, sewer services, stable lighting, new clothing, and sanitary houses. Ash dreams of having delicious foods with liquor, machine-assisted heavy labor, and transportation that connects the world faster than horses. Even though he does not know how and what making these things entails, and discovering these innovations and getting the materials is too much work for just one person. That is why he needs people to help him and wants the same dream as him. Ash tells Yuka that since he will be donating some of the money to the village, she should help him with his business plan for the aloe salve. Yuka agrees with his plan and that it would be her pleasure to assist him with his business plan. Now that Ash has made his case to the village chief's family, his dealings with Quid the Merchant will be much more smoother. He can also use the family's connections to the city. Ash decides to share his recipe to make the salve and have Yuka go ahead with the sales. At least Ash has taken the first step needed in order to attain the lifestyle of his dreams. A few days later, Ash goes back to the village chief's house and talks to Yuka. Ash drops off the aloe salve recipe to her that they talked about a few days ago. Yuka thanks Ash as she has hinted the recipe as she sees that the recipe is less complicated than what she thought. The main thing is just to mince and then boil the aloe. Yuka exclaims that even she can make it easily as long as she has the ingredients as well. Ash tells her that if she does plan on making it herself, she should let him know so he can inspect it too. Ash then gives her some of the ingredients himself to get her started. He picked out these ingredients when he went to the forest with Ban the Hunter a few days ago. Ash decides to let her handle the selling and pricing of the salve since he is not business savvy himself. He relies on Yuka's intellect instead and just wants the bare minimum to cut out the profits for himself. Yuka is a bit skeptical since the invention of the medicine was Ash himself, so she feels a bit wrong if she is the one taking the reins. Ash tells her that he is the one asking her for help since he cannot manage everything by himself. There are probably other aspects about this business deal that even he does not know or would not even consider if he were to do it all by himself. He has faith in Yuka that she would handle the business side of things, and he will take care of his side of things as well. She smiles at his words as she replies that she will come up with the sales plan then. She decides to make the salve a few times herself to see how much these ingredients produce. Yuka then remembers that Mika is also interested in this plan as well, so she decides to ask Mika for some help as well. Even Mika should be able to read and write by now, so it would be of no issue for her to look over the recipe and make it by herself. Yuka also knows that Ash has been teaching Mika how to read and write as well, but Ash just tells her that Mika has been doing her work all on her own. He is still oblivious to Mika's feelings for him as Yuka also decides that she will help Mika further her relationship with Ash as well. Yuka wants to send some of the salve to her parents as well via Quid the Merchant once she has made enough of the salve. Ash likes that idea as he agrees with her easily. Yuka tells him that she will report back to him as soon as she makes any progress with the business plan as Ash bows her before taking his leave. On the way back, Ash thinks to himself that he can rely on Yuka on taking care of the aloe salve for a while. He will be proceeding with his other endeavors in the meantime, such as researching on how to make rodenticide that would protect the farm stock from rats. Some months pass by as the season turns to fall. Ash received word from Yuka that the aloe salve has been selling well in the city. For that, Ash received a whole copper piece. Yuka decided to sell the aloe salve medicine in the capital's upper-class district where her parents lived. There, the medicine became a rare and exclusive item, with an expensive price tag that only upper-class citizens could afford. Ash never dreamed of his first share of profits to be this much. This single piece of copper coin is the same amount as if they sold a quarter of this year's winter wheat. Regardless, this will mean that Ash can finally pay back his tab to Quid the Merchant for the quill and paper he gave him. When Ash goes to Quid to pay back his tab, Quid declines to take his money and instead tells him that he should keep the money and use it for himself. Apparently, selling the aloe salve has opened doors for Quid with dealing with rich families. Quid himself has gained a huge leg up and did some healthy business with the bigger families in the city. Quid thanks Ash since it would not have happened if he was not selling the aloe salve. Quid did not accept Ash's money, and if he brought it home, his dad would just spend it on alcohol. So Ash takes the money to Father Folk and tells him to keep it for him. Father Folk tells him that the church does not meddle in that kind of business at all. Ash tells him that this is just a donation and he can withdraw whenever he wants to, but Father Folk says that that is not a donation, it is a deposit. Father Folk tells him that he might just keep the money for himself since his morality tends to waver whenever he goes broke. Ash instead then says that if Father Folk cannot keep it, this will be their mutual research fund instead. That way, both of them can use this money as long as it is used for the ancient language research. Father Folk likes that idea as Micah knocks on the door and pops in. Father Folk then tells Ash to go help Micah with her studies for today, saying that Ash is his #1 disciple, so he can handle this easily. After leaving Father Folk's study, Micah tells Ash that her mother wants to make more of the aloe salve since it is selling so well. Yuka said that she would get some of the other villagers to help her as well, but she wants Ash's approval first before moving forward with that decision. Ash agrees with it and allows her to go forward with having the villagers help her with making the aloe salve. Sometime later in Yuka's house, she hires some villagers to help her make the aloe salve. She explains the process to the rest of them, and they get to making the aloe salve. This increases the production of the aloe salve by a large amount. Since making this aloe salve is mostly a manual process, the decision to have others help her is the best one. Yuka also decided to hire villagers who are financially struggling the most, where the breadwinners of their family have either died or they are taking care of their sick family members. All of the villagers that got hired are women who are not cut out for heavy labor. Moreover, they cannot easily decline or complain about being hired because they are struggling to make ends meet. Just like how Father Folk is a great academic scholar, Yuka is a great business manager. For the first step to achieving their goal, they are holding a practice session on making the aloe salve. Since none of the villagers are literate, the instructors, Ash, Yuka, and Meika, will be handing out the recipe and teaching them how to read it at the same time. As the lesson goes on, Ash helps one of the villagers named Tanya with removing the spine of the aloe. He tells her that if she is confused about the process, she should not hesitate to ask them about it. Tanya notices that Ash and Micah, for being so young, already know how to read and write. As they follow the recipe, the 3 villagers finally finish making their first batch of the aloe salve. Yuka congratulates them all on making the aloe salve and tells them that with more practice, they will be able to make it more reliably. Since this is just a test batch, Yuka tells them to use it for themselves so they can see how it works and what it does. As Tanya touches the cream, she exclaims that her mother used to make something similar, which piques Ash's interest. He asks her to elaborate on what she meant by that. Tanya explains that her mother used to make medicine that you would rub onto yourself just like this aloe salve. They would also use it as an ointment for wounds, but it was more of a medicine they would put on rough skin.